when customers move virtual desktop to Azure, if they use Azure NetApp Files for their profiles, we can not only increase boot time, but prevent boot storms. We can support thousands of customers logging on simultaneously to their virtual desktops running in Azure. So reach out to our team for details about those solutions. So I want to talk a little bit more detail about this Azure VMware solution because it is our newest solution play. You can now use Azure NetApp Files as the data store for an AVS deployment. What that means is customers can decouple storage from compute in their VMware environment. Prior to this being a capability, customers that had a very storage-intense VMware environment, they had to add additional clusters, driving the cost up of their VMware solution in Azure, and it was really becoming cost prohibitive for customers. So we can then separate storage and expand that out without having to add more compute nodes, more VMware cost, and it's helping Microsoft win these workloads. It's easy to manage. For performance and availability, ANF is architected to be available 4 nines, and it's available in multiple Azure regions. So for protection and DR, we can do encryption in transit and at rest, and we have now customer-managed encryption keys, which is very important for our regulated industries. And disaster recovery can be satisfied by our ability to do cross-region replication to easily replicate their storage from one Azure region to another on the Azure backbone. So this flexibility in data management is a great reason to include ANF in any Azure VMware solution. And later we're going to dig more into the cost analysis and how this can really help. But I have a customer win that's really great. Baptist Health has been a great customer of both NetApp and Microsoft, and they actually attended the VMware Explore recently in Vegas to talk about this solution, running their AVS environment in Azure using Azure NetApp Files. They were going to move their Horizon virtual desktop environment up into Azure, but they needed it to run in 2 Azure regions as active. So with our cross-region replication technology, they were able to replicate their storage from 2 separate Azure regions, satisfying this customer requirement of active for their virtual desktop environment. We're very excited to partner with them. Now, this is not a large number of terabytes, but it's a great use case where even though they didn't, have petabytes of storage for their VMware solution, they had that requirement of multiple regions, and we were able to work with them. So we're really excited. Baptist Health loves to talk about this solution and the benefits, the ease of migration, and how their users are happy with the solution. So great use case, great win-wire, and there is a public win on this that you can share with your customers. I'm going to transition now to talk about SAP. SAP was really the very first workload we went after jointly with Microsoft with Azure NetApp Files. Azure NetApp Files has been in Azure for 4 years now, and we really focused on SAP for those first few years. It helps meet the customer's performance needs for those big SAP environments. We help speed up migration time and enable customers to do business continuity and disaster recovery for their SAP environments. We've invested heavily in SAP resources here at NetApp, and this is a great win that was pretty recent. This was a new logo for us over the last quarter. This customer was moving their SAP environment into Azure, and they originally were using Azure Premium Files, but they had a requirement for dual protocol file shares. And that is something that can be done with Azure NetApp Files very easily. They had some of their file shares needed SMB and NFS, and we were able to satisfy that customer requirement. They started out just using ANF for their file shares as part of their SAP deployment, but are now moving their HANA database onto ANF as well. We are certified to run HANA database in Azure, And so that is a great use case for us. This right now is at about 83 terabytes, but we expect to see this continue to grow as they get their full HANA database on there. And then we're going to be able to do disaster recovery between regions. So another great use case, another great win. Our SAP team here at NetApp, we call it the SAP Solution Deal Desk. We have folks who used to work at SAP on this team. So think about it like our own global black belt team here at NetApp, helping drive SAP solutions in Azure. Some of the things they can help do are baseline analysis on looking at the Azure bill and how they can architect the environment for the most cost-optimized solution. They help with the value prop of performance, flexibility, and security. And they also work with the top SAP system integrators. I've named a few here on the slide, Capgemini and Accenture, and there's a few smaller ones that are coming up. And what they do is they incentivize these SIs to architect using Azure NetApp Files, and NetApp has a partner incentive program for SAP. So that means that these partners, when they deployed SAP in Azure, at a point in time, we take a measurement of the number of terabytes and we give them a partner kickback of 2% of our value of the solution. So again, this is incentivizing our big SIs that are going out there and architecting and deploying SAP to do it using Azure NetApp Files. I know there's a lot of things on this slide, but I hope you can see that it can really simplify a deployment by having a single storage solution with multiple different environments. You can see on this one, it has like dev test, pre-prod, prod, all within the storage clusters on ANF. So we help with cost optimization, but also in ease of management of these environments once they are moved into Azure. NetApp does have the ability to get Azure credits to help fund pilot activities. So if you have a customer that is a little hesitant to try SAP in Azure, reach out to us and we can apply for the ESIF funds through our partner ESIF funding programs. So please partner with us in that regard. The last area I want to talk about is really a emerging market for Azure NetApp Files, and that's really to help customers innovate with high-performance compute and AI. We are working with the top EDA workloads, and if you're not familiar with what EDA it is, it's electronic design automation for chip design. Manufacturers like AMD, Qualcomm, NVIDIA. I'm actually in San Jose today at an EDA day hosted between NetApp and Microsoft and AMD. We have multiple EDA customers here to learn about the value and benefits of doing those EDA workloads in the Azure cloud. So very excited that we're working and partnering very closely with the Microsoft EDA specialists to help drive more adoption of that. In media and in entertainment, we work with some of the largest media companies like DreamWorks to help them as they're developing their films. They're able to use Azure NetApp Files for that high performance compute. And then Azure Machine Learning. We know a lot of customers are looking into AI and how they can use AI in their environments. And the machine learning engine in Azure can sit on top of Azure NetApp Files to handle the vast amount of data that these machine learning engines are taking in.